Last month, the Daily Wrap-Up crew hosted Dr. Umar Johnson in New York City. And the main conversation that they had that I can really remember was that black men are responsible for black women's bad decisions. Now, what I'd like to do right now to get into the whole conversation is play a small clip of that, and then I'm gonna come back.
Over here, I want to say this to us, though, because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for. Let's be honest. The black woman has had to hold down the black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of black males began in the 1970s. You understand me? Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now. And it has been that way for about 50 years. So when a sister says, I don't need a man, because she couldn't find one strong enough to hold her down. Or when you meet a woman and you say, sister, I'm strong enough to be your man. You ain't got to work or you ain't got to pay the bills or whatever. Pull back, I got you. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality. We created that, and then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection. See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is they don't have much to select one, so of course she's going to end up with a poor mate. And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need. We are not. They out there killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed black males, what we doing about it? Pants sagging, weed smoking, what we doing about it?
So in that clip, which has went viral all over the internet, it's pretty much holding black men accountable for the fact that black women have access to a bad mate selection. In the end of that clip, Dr. Umar Johnson is being very adamant about the fact that we have black men out there suffering from unemployment, black men killing each other, and black men are actively doing nothing about it. And they are being apathetic, which is true. That is definitely true. Black men do not do enough to help other black men get into the economy or solve problems in the black community. And that part, I really believe that Dr. Umar Johnson is right, although I don't believe that black men are solely responsible for black women's bad selection. And one of the reasons why is because a lot of black men are coming up under these same women and they don't have the mentorship. And again, I understand that men have a different responsibility to society, but again, a lot of black men failure or black male failures, also they have been helped to fail. A lot of times by single parent households where there's men or women. But then Tariq Nasheed recently has dropped a video. He took about 3 weeks to respond. And in the stream that I heard, he doesn't call out Dr. Umar Johnson by name, but we know exactly what he's talking about. And I want to go ahead and play this small clip of Tariq Nasheed and what he's explaining, which is much different than what Dr. Umar is talking about, and then we're going to come back.
Chop it up. But listen, this is what I want to talk about today. There's this whole thing where black men are just to blame for everything. We've been hearing this conversation about are things black men's fault. You know, we've heard some people say that if sisters act a certain way, that's the black men's fault. If a nigga in Chicago acts a certain way that I don't know, somehow that's me and other black men's fault. It's our fault that some fool in Chicago somewhere is doing some grimy stuff. If a white cop shoots somebody, well, that's black men's fault for being so niggerish. You know, we shouldn't promote niggatry. We promote it. And if we point out it's the white corporate structure where we shouldn't give them the material to promote, it's still black men's fault. Everything is a black man's fault. Everything is the black man's fault. We're responsible for the behavior of other people except us. You know, our own behavior, we're controlled, we're systematically powerless, but somehow we're just responsible for everything. Now, we saw with the whole Kiki thing, going back to that, people talk about the ratchetness that certain sectors of our society has. and they say that's our fault. We're making them women ratchet. It's our fault that they're ratchet. It's our fault that they're walking around with their cheeks jiggling. Okay, when we say, hey, we don't want you to walk around with your cheeks out. Hey, why don't you cover your cheeks up and be a mother? Oh, don't you say that you're trying to control. That sounds like patriarchy. Oh, that sounds like patriarchy. So it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. All right? It's like a damned if you do, no matter what we do. If we say, put your clothes on, sis, we don't really want you to go out like that. How dare you try to control me? That was the whole conversation last week. Remember in the Negro sphere cycles. You can't control the black woman. You trying to dominate her. You sound like Mr. from The Color Purple. What kind of nigga is you? We got that kind of energy, right? You can't control the sister. Leave Kiki alone. Kiki Palmer and other black women can wear what they want to wear. They had all types of mainstream articles dumping on black men for saying, hey, sister, put some clothes on. So it was all this stuff about dumping on black men. Shut up. If we make more money, you can't control us. It was that whole thing.
So Tariq Nasheed's angle is a lot different than what Dr. Umar's talking about. He's saying that a lot of black men do want to see black women respected. And that's the key. We want to see black women respected. We're saying, hey, we wanted you to be a mother or a wife. But then there's evidence that black women are rejecting this particular talking point or this particular request from black men and doing whatever they want. And then whenever black men are saying, hey, this is what we like, they're being castigated or reprimanded, and they're being told they're controlling. And he uses the Kiki Palmer, Darius Jackson situation as a great example. And if you don't believe me, I want to play this clip of Aoki Lee Simmons, who is literally castigating Darius Jackson for basically trying to stand up and be a real man for Kiki Palmer.
I just want to say, I don't know Kiki Palmer's boyfriend. I don't know anything about him really, besides the current thing. But let me just say, I hate that man. I pray and plot on his downfall. I hate him. I'm disgusted. I think when my friend told me that, we were just like sitting and I was like, what? I would love the chance to like punch that man. Like who? I am appalled. No couth, not one drop of couth. Like there's so many things wrong with it, but the way he did it was insane. What he had to say was fucking stupid, and the way he did it was so unhinged, and the follow-up was unhinged. Don't ever talk about Akilah again. Ever. Disgusting. And it makes me sick, because she gave that man a beautiful child. And he is yapping on the internet? Why do men talk? Ever. Just never talk again. Anyway, go watch Kiki's Kamala Harris interview, because she's so cute and so wonderful and asked all the questions that we want answers to, so. Also, like, what did he think that we were gonna say? Like, agree and then we're gonna, what, yell at your girlfriend and the mother of your child? Like, what did he think anyone was gonna say? Like, yes, we're gonna gang up on her with you? We don't know you! Also, what? It was unhinged the way the tweet... what did he think that we were gonna do? Agree? Also, I thought the dress was amazing and so cute and elegant and, like, very... Not that I even believe in there's a way that mom should dress, but I thought it was very, like, new mom, sexy, night out. I thought it was very nice, but whatever. Did he think that we were going to agree with him?
All right. So we all know that Tariq Nasheed and Dr. Umar Johnson don't really care for each other. But the question is, who's right? And I'm a fan to some degree of both people, although I lean a little bit more towards Dr. Umar Johnson a little bit on some of the things he talks about. But again, I like Tariq Nasheed. They both have great things to say. But in my case, who's right? In my honest opinion, both of them are right, because both of them are coming from a different perspective. Dr. Umar Johnson's talking points come from a position of power. What Dr. Umar Johnson is saying, that black men need to pretty much compete and run their economy all together and do things like that, such that you create the rules of engagement so that your women will respect you. Tariq Nasheed is also right in the fact that he's saying, listen, no matter what you want to do at ever level you are, a lot of these women are going to do whatever they're going to want to do anyway. Okay? And this is absolutely true if you think about what he's talking about. Kiki Palmer is a lady that has access to all kinds of men. It's not just black men that she's willing to date. She will date white men. In fact, Kiki Palmer is bisexual. So how does Kiki Palmer, a very beautiful young lady, very talented, with access to a lot of men in entertainment, how does she end up with a guy like Darius Jackson? I'll tell you, it's all because she didn't want to have to submit to a guy that had authority, because she wanted to be able to control her own destiny. And the only way you can control your own destiny is to get with a man that you make more money than, just so you can tell him, I make more money than you, I don't have to listen to you, instead of having to be competitive for the man out there that is doing very well. And one of the reasons why I think a lot of sisters have a problem with that, they're not used to being around a man who's doing very well. They feel only confident in themselves because they don't trust a man. They don't come from that environment. And again, as a black man, surely you're going to have women who are going to come from the single parent homes or bad environments that will be able to adapt to this system of black men building wealth in their communities and black men working together to create a better society. But we're also going to have women who are just not going to trust that process, because feminism is very strong. And all of that empowerment to do whatever I want to do, I don't need to listen to you. And no matter how much money you make, I want to run my own life. And the way that I want to run my own life is to really compete against what you got going on. And that's not just true of black women. We see it with a lot of ladies in society. And so because of that, there is absolutely no way to solve all the problems in black America. But the thing I like about both Umar Johnson and Tariq Nasheed's take, it blends both ideas. And the fact is, you're going to have a lot of women, in my honest opinion, if you get black men working together to do something about it, you're going to have the middle and the women that are going to be wanting to work with these black men, or, get along with some of these rules of engagement that men typically create in these safe societies you see across the world, i.e. Poland, the Middle East, some parts of Africa, or even some places in America with immigrant communities, even African-American communities as well. But then you're also going to have the women, no matter how well you do, who are just straight out scared to compete for a man. And they're going to want to write their own destiny by saying, listen, I want to have a baby by an athletic guy. Even if it doesn't work out, as long as I have my kid that has good genetics, that's all I want. And then I can always come back and say, all black men are bandits. You know what I'm talking about? All black men are beta males. And I can say that because that's the kind of guy that I stuck with. So if I fail, I can always stick to the narrative that all black men are like this. In reality, black men are not responsible for black women's bad decisions. Right? Because black women are out there now exploiting themselves. Look at Glorilla. Look at Black China. Look at Meg Thee Stallion. Look at what they're talking about. A lot of these ladies are doing that by themselves. Black men have nothing to do with that. They're doing it for Instagram. They're doing it whatever. But at the end of the day, black men can influence good decisions by working together. Black men can influence safe environments for women and children. Black men can influence community-based building by working with other men to lay that foundation. So it is true, if black men did work together, if black men did create more of a society, you could have women who make more better decisions than what they make now, because it could be influenced by these black men working together, right? And I know we have a long way to go. But the reality is black women are adults. Whenever black girls are successful or black women are successful, what do we hear? We hear terms like black girl magic, black girls rock. Now, if they come from a very bad environment and they happen to make it, these are things that we talk about all the time with black women, and we have no problem giving them their props. But as soon as the black women start failing, or they're not doing good, or they don't make it, it's easy to blame the black men and say, well, all I can find is this. All I can find is that. But we don't make them excuses for black women when they're doing very well. And I think both ideas have a point, and both sides or schools of thought really could be talked about. And I like both things the men have to say. The reality is both black men and black women have some level of accountability. And that's what I like about Tariq Nasheed's point. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode here at Fair Use. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.